What does childhood trauma have to do with long COVID? Do I really need to dig into my childhood trauma to heal from long COVID? I don't want to think about my past. It hurts. It's traumatizing revisiting that. I had a rough childhood. Can't I just do the polyvagal exercises and heal? I just want to say that this topic right here completely changed my life. Not only did this topic cause sustainable healing so I don't have any more relapses in my long COVID recovery journey, but it absolutely gave me a better, happier, more joyful life. Let's look at what caused us to get long COVID in the first place. If you've watched my other videos, you understand the polyvagal theory. And I absolutely believe that the symptoms that we get are caused by a dysregulated nervous system. The goal of the nervous system is to seek safety or to seek what it believes is safe. The next question is, what is overstimulating my nervous system? And what does childhood trauma have anything to do with overstimulating my nervous system? Well, let's first define what is childhood trauma. Childhood trauma are accumulated events that we had as children that took away our sense of belonging or safety. And keep in mind, there's probably maybe only one event that we remember. But if we really start doing some digging into our past, we start remembering some of these events, you will see there will be a pattern. And these events take away our feeling of belonging and safety. And that, in a nutshell, is childhood trauma. When we are a child, we're still learning about the world around us. We're learning on who we are. We're learning how to treat others. We're learning on how to treat ourselves. We're learning on how do we exactly fit in the world around us. And our parents and our guardians are responsible to teach us this. Sadly, our parents are imperfect, and I'm not here to blame them. But as children, we naturally don't believe that. We believe that what they teach us is that the truth. If they tell us this is the correct thing to do, we believe that's the correct thing to do. If they tell us this is the incorrect thing to do, we believe that's the incorrect thing to do. Let's talk about being a perfectionist. As a perfectionist, you believe everything you do must be perfect, because if you don't, you feel like if it is life or death. How do we learn about this new belief about perfectionism? We learn about perfectionism from our parents and from our guardians. Usually when we're children, when we make mistakes, they will either verbally abuse you, physically abuse you, embarrass you, humiliate you. Our parents believed that if they expected perfectionism from you, that they were teaching you to be responsible. They wanted you to be successful in the world. And they believe that being a perfectionist is what is needed to be successful in the world. So even though they wanted the best for you, they were really ignorantly hurting you. So when we are not perfect, the message we learn is that we do not get love or belonging or feelings of worthy. So what is it that we learn when our parents verbally abuse us or physically abuse us or withhold their love for us when we are not perfect? What's the belief we create as children? We must be perfect to be loved, to belong. Mistakes and being imperfect means I'm not worthy of love. I'm not worthy of belonging. So our nervous system understands this as danger. It is ingrained in our biology, in our nervous system, to seek belonging. Because without belonging to a tribe, we will die. So we need to become or be part of a tribe. And our nervous system feels safe when we seek this. So the message we get as children is when we are not perfect, we will die. We are in danger. So our nervous system begins to activate and to be overstimulated. And this is when the nervous system uses anxiety as a tool to get your attention that something is wrong. Let's look at another example. Let's look into people pleasing. I was a huge people pleaser. I wanted to make sure that everybody around me liked me, loved me. I didn't want to create any conflicts or rock the boat. If someone around me didn't like me, I became extremely anxious. I wanted to make sure that I did whatever it took so that they can like me. But being a people pleaser really begins being a parent pleaser. We might have had experiences where our parents are upset, angry, rattled. And as children, the way we create safety is by making sure that we please our parent, that they are not upset with us. Because when they are not upset with us, we are safe. But when we upset them and we get them angry and they become abusive with us, then we are no longer in safety. And remember, the goal of the nervous system is to always seek safety. So what's the belief that gets created then when we are children? To be loved and to belong, I have to make sure that everyone around me is happy. If anyone is unhappy with me, angry with me, or rejects me, I am unworthy of being loved. I am unworthy of belonging. That's why people pleasers are extremely afraid of being rejected by the people around them. They will do anything to make sure they have the approval of everyone around them. What makes this behavior very unhealthy is that they will do things at the cost of their well-being. And again, the signal the nervous system uses to get your attention is anxiety. So when we are not people-pleasing and someone's upset at us, we begin to feel anxiety. Let's look at another example. Maybe you are not perfectionistic. Maybe you are not a people pleaser, but maybe you are driven, ambitious. If you're not working hard on your next big goal, you're not living life. And once you accomplish that big goal, you create a new one and you start working on the next bigger goal. When you don't have big goals to accomplish, you may feel useless. You may have anxiety. You don't like to sit still. You don't like to just think about life. You don't like to enjoy life. You don't like to slow down and relax. It's hard for you to just stop and smell the roses. This was me as well. At 16 years old, I completed a 35-mile run where I ran it nonstop. At 19 years old, I did a half Ironman triathlon race. At 22 years old, I did a full Ironman race. I was constantly trying to accomplish something bigger and better. But where did this need, this desire come from? And you got it right. It's from a belief I created as a child. I remember really admiring my father. I absolutely looked up to my father. Until this day, I love my father with my whole heart. One day, I remember sitting down with my father. I was about maybe 8 years old, and we were watching NBC. And they were showing Hawaii Ironman World Championship. And I remember distinctly, my father looks at the TV, then looks at me and says, "Wow, those guys are some real athletes." He was so impressed by the athletic pursuits and the struggle and the suffering these people did to just get to the finish line. And what's the belief I created? I need to accomplish hard and big things to be loved and to be worthy. If I don't accomplish hard or big things, then I am not worthy of love and I'm not worthy of belonging. This is why so many people are extremely driven and are obsessed with chasing the next big goal. And once they're done accomplishing that one big feat, they move on to a bigger, better, harder thing to accomplish. And really, your whole life looks like you're going from one hamster wheel to a bigger hamster wheel. It's hard for them to just take time off and just enjoy life. And the signal your nervous system sends you to get your attention is, you guessed it, anxiety. So when they aren't accomplishing big things, when they are trying to be on vacation and just relax, they become anxious because it is a sign, it's a signal from your nervous system that you are in danger. Because remember, the belief you created as a child is that if I'm not accomplishing hard things, I do not belong. I'm not worthy of love, which means that I am in danger. The nervous system takes that as danger, danger. These are some toxic beliefs, and I call it toxic because they harm you, the person believing it. Sadly, our society rewards you for having these toxic beliefs. If you're a perfectionist, people at work, your boss, your colleagues, they love that you're a perfectionist. Why? Because you are getting stuff done. You are the spear of the office. If you're a people pleaser, your boss, people at school, your professors, they love that. Why? Because they know that you will do anything, even at your own detriment, to please them. What about being driven and super ambitious? People at school and people at work, your boss, your professor, they love that because you're working on the next big thing. Society loves that you are perfectionistic, a people pleaser, and driven and super ambitious. So what's the problem with all this? The problem is that our subconscious mind is driving our actions and behaviors and causing us to have a life that we are extremely unhappy with. It's a reality that's not truly aligned with what we want. It's not aligned with what we consciously desire. Consciously, we may want to slow down. We may want to relax. We may not want to care about what other people think. We may want to have healthy relationships. We may want to prioritize self-care, but we can't. And we are driving ourselves crazy trying to figure out why can't we? And we are unaware that the lives that we currently live are caused by the childhood trauma and the beliefs from those childhood traumas and experiences we had as children. It will show up in our life, maybe through the job that we have. We may hate the job we have. Maybe we have toxic relationships. Maybe we're constantly burning ourselves out. And in our specific case, we end up getting long COVID. How do these toxic beliefs give us long COVID? Because for our entire lives, 24/7, we're constantly stressing our nervous system because we're trying to be perfect. We're constantly trying to please others, and we're always worried about accomplishing the next big thing. And we're doing all this because we believe if we don't do these things, we will not be loved, that we are not in an area of safe So we go crazy in all these aspects of our lives because we're trying to fill a void. We're trying to prevent these emotions of not feeling safe, of not feeling belonging, of not feeling loved. We need to stop seeking worthiness, belonging, and love outside of ourselves. It is not other people's responsibility to make you feel worthy or loved. It is your responsibility. You are now an adult and you need to stop believing in this lie. And that lie is, without my parents' love, I am not worthy. This is a belief we created as children so that we can have safety in our life, but it's based on a lie. We no longer need our parents' love. And honestly, our nervous system and our mind and our beliefs are all confused. And as an adult, the love that you need is your own. Usually when people get long COVID, they're in a time of their life where they're extremely stressed out, which means that you're probably doing things you don't want to do. And most of the times we're doing these things based on this lie, based on these toxic beliefs that we've created as children, these beliefs that we created out of our childhood trauma. So the next natural question is, how can I change these beliefs? Keep in mind, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. This is not professional advice. Please consult with your medical provider for professional advice. I'm just a dude sharing his experience of what worked for me. And it may or may not work for you. The first step is awareness. It's having awareness that you're living a life based on these toxic beliefs. You have to understand, fully grasp that these beliefs are harmful to you, despite society and the people around you validating you and saying that, yay, you're doing great. If you don't believe that these beliefs are harmful, then you won't make the changes that are required to change and gather new beliefs. A lot of people struggle with this phase because there's a bit of an identity lost or an identity shift. I'll give you an example. If you're the person at work that's the spear of the office, you're the guy or the girl that gets things done. Your boss and the people around you rely on you. People are impressed by your work ethic. But if you no longer are perfectionistic or a people pleaser or driven, maybe you no longer want to be the spear in your office. Maybe you are done sacrificing all of your time and energy in this job. This means that you will let your boss down. You may even let down your colleagues, and you may even let down the people around you, your family and your friends. And this is scary for a lot of people. So they rather cling on to these toxic beliefs. Why? We cling on to these toxic beliefs because our nervous system believes that if we are perfect, if we are a people pleaser, if we are extremely driven, that we will be loved and safe. But we understand that this is all a lie. We have to understand that these things, people pleasing, perfectionistic, driven, does not mean love. And what truly matters is that you, as an adult, love yourself. You need to let go of this constant need of the love and approval of the people around you. And let me tell you, even though this phase and this process is difficult, it is liberating. With this change alone, you will no longer be stressing your nervous system 24/7. The second step is to seek to understand what are the beliefs that you created from your childhood trauma. This will take courage because you will have to revisit some past memories that may make you feel very uncomfortable. You may have to re-experience pain, neglect, rejection, fear. While revisiting the past, I had a piece of paper in front of me. And on this paper, it would say, as much as it hurts, these are lies. I am worthy. I am loved. I belong. That paper and those words are a reminder to ground you back to reality and to safety because it may get very emotional. If you aren't crying in this phase, you're not doing it correctly. Step number 3, self-love melts childhood trauma. And this is why I'm so adamant and I'm constantly talking about self-love. I know it sounds very woo. It sounds very mystical. How does this make sense? But self-love melts away your childhood trauma. These childhood experiences and these childhood traumas create a belief in us that we are not loved, that we are not worthy, and that we need to seek this love and worthiness outside of ourselves. But that is all a lie. The love you seek is your own love. And this is where inner child work comes into play. There is a part of you, the inner child, and this inner child is stuck in the past. It is stuck in the moment of that childhood trauma or experience. You need to stop neglecting this inner child of yours. You need to see it as a part of you that needs attention, that needs love, that needs compassion. Talk to it, listen to it, ask it questions, have empathy towards it, shower it with praise and with love. Tell that inner child that it no longer needs love outside of itself because you as an adult will be the one providing that love that it craves. Tell it that it no longer needs to be perfect to be loved, that despite the mistakes you make, that you will continue to love that inner child. Tell it that even though your boss and the people around you reject you and are not happy with you, that you will continue to give it love, the love that it deserves. Tell it that it no longer needs to be accomplishing bigger and better things, because even when you don't accomplish anything, and all you do is breathe and live, that you deserve of love. I am a God-fearing person. So what helped me really understand and solidify this concept was that if God loves me, despite me being imperfect and a sinner, then who am I to not love me? If by God's standards, he loves me and I'm worthy of love, then why am I creating my own standards where I am not worthy of love? The fourth step: practice not being perfect. Practice not being worried about pleasing everybody around you. Practice on relaxing and not having to accomplish a bigger goal every single time. This means you will practice at failing. This means you will practice at not pleasing everybody and setting boundaries, even if it upsets many people around you. Practice doing things that have no outcome in the end. Practice just doing things because you enjoy it, because it's fun. And all these things will get the attention of your nervous system, usually through anxiety. But despite the anxiety showing up in your life, practice these things and continue to show yourself love and praise. The fifth step is to 180-degree your self-talk. When you are perfectionistic, a people pleaser, and extremely driven, you usually have a self-talk that creates those outcomes. You will berate and abuse yourself verbally. Remember, the reason your mind does this is because your nervous system wants to keep you safe. It believes that if you're not pleasing other people, or if you're not perfect, or if you're not driven, that you are not safe. But it's time to let go of this negative and abusive self-talk. And what you will realize is that the self-talk that you have, that negative self-talk, usually is a personification of our parents' voice. When you start evaluating your self-talk and who it sounds like, usually it will sound like your parents. The way you start changing your self-talk is, first, promise yourself that you will no longer allow negative self-talk. Just like if you had a child, and if your child starts trying to verbally abuse somebody else, you would not allow your child to do that. You would take your child, separate them, and you would have a talk with them. You want to do the same thing for you. Do not allow yourself to talk to yourself that way. So whenever you catch yourself talking to yourself negatively, tell yourself, stop. I will not allow this conversation to go on. And you want to be intentional about your positive self-talk. You want to be compassionate with your self-talk. You want to be loving with your self-talk. This new positive, optimistic, loving, nurturing, compassionate self-talk will be awkward at first, but keep going. You're on the right path. This is why I'm so adamant about self-love, because self-love truly melts away what childhood trauma has left behind. Childhood trauma teaches us that we are no longer worthy of love in our skin. And the truth is that you are worthy of love. And you really need to learn how to have self-love. Your parents, your guardians, school, work, nobody in society teaches you how to love yourself. And once you love yourself, you are no longer a slave to these childhood traumas and the beliefs that come from these childhood traumas. You will be happy and joyful because you no longer seek this emotion of love or belonging from the outside world. Instead, you get that sense of belonging and love from yourself. The beautiful thing about that is that you live with yourself 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And living in this love and acceptance will give your nervous system the space to heal. I know you have long COVID. I know it's tough. It's not easy, but you can absolutely heal, and you will do it by having self-love, by learning to love yourself. You're watching this video because deep down inside, you want to heal. You want to get away from long COVID. You want to run away from long COVID as fast as you can. And let me tell you, I am nobody special. If I can heal from long COVID, so can you. It doesn't matter what weird symptoms dysautonomia gives you. It doesn't matter if you have dysautonomia for 20 years. Just know that you can heal. And one of the big parts of all this is your childhood trauma and the way it affects your nervous system as an adult. It is the toxic beliefs that are hurting you and activating chronically your nervous system. So don't give up. You got this. I am your biggest supporter. I'm here for you guys. I hope this video helped you. Please subscribe to this channel and don't forget to leave a thumbs up and a comment down below. And if you love this content, I also have something completely free for you, something amazing. And that is my newsletter called Joyfully Healing. In the newsletter, we talk about healing from long COVID, living a joyful life, and learning self-love. I will leave a link down below so you can subscribe. And if you like this video, then you're going to love these.